We are finishing up the UCC connection. We made it, and you know what? We made it like just in time. You know, this is the last decan of the first decan of the month. Once upon a time, our weeks used to be 10 days long, so the weeks were actually called decans. And so this is the last day. Tomorrow starts the first day of the second decan, or will tomorrow be the first day? I don't know. Nah, there's no number higher than nine. So anyway, so wrapping it up today is actually really cool. And nine is the number of being born. When we enter the second decade, it's like application of what we of the Aries, the gut that controls the mind, which is also in alignment because the next book that we're going to read is called Common Law Handbook for Jurors, Sheriffs, Bailiffs, and Justices, which is going to be a very interesting read. And it just so happened that the books that we're reading are starting to line up with the videos because lawyers or officers of the court will be on 14. How to use your passport and penal bonds, we'll go over that on the 13th. The 12th, we're going over updating your driver's license, registration, permits, and licenses. Tomorrow, we're going over four and 5-star passport breakdown. So you guys getting the proper passport is very important because that's probably what you'll start utilizing instead of the ID and all that stuff. Because if you use a regular driver's license, it's a commercial. You're basically taking your strongman from your birth certificate into a little plastic card that you can carry around. Whereas when you have the passport, it's a certain way that you fill out the form that they'll know that you're a state national. So it's best to have the passport, and it's just in time because they're about to start implementing and enforcing the real ID for domestic flights as well as other things. Eventually, as people start getting more and more conditioned to purchase that one, which is another jurisdiction trick. So get your passport instead, and you override the real ID and all that extra shit because they can't get rid of the passport. So what they do is they're going to trick you into getting other kinds of IDs instead. But yeah, we're definitely in alignment now because we're starting to apply what we've learned in actual life and how to carry ourselves, what kind of paperwork to get done, etc., etc. So, I'm going to let Ezekiel finish off this the story, which is only up into it's only 5 pages left, and then we're gonna just go ahead and hop right into the film. So it's a short day today. 61 minutes.
The first connection from the highest potent position is that A77 stat dot 630 631 PL 88 243 1963 and PL 88 244 1963 make the Uniform Commercial Code UCC private law for the Municipal District of Columbia and the federal United States. These statutory laws and actions expressively affect citizens of the federal government. 77 Stat 630 631 PL 88 243 is an act that enacts the Uniform Commercial Code for the District of Columbia and for other purposes. This is where the UCC functions as the law of the land for the federal government, District of Columbia, and territories. For sake of simplicity, Public Law PL 88 244 is private law for private corporation citizens, but not for the people. 1. A private law is confined to particular individuals, associations, or corporations. 50th AMR GJUR 12P.28. And second, a private law can be enforced by a court of competent jurisdiction when statutes for its enforcement are enacted. 20 AMJUR 33, pages 58 and 59. And number 3, statutes creating corporations are private acts. 20 AMJUR 35, page 60. 4. In this connection, the Federal Reserve Act is private law. Federal Reserve banks derive their existence and corporate power from the Federal Reserve Act, Armano v. Federal Bank 468, F.SUPP 674, 1979. And then 5. The distinction between public acts and private acts is not always sharply defined when published statutes are printed in their final form. Case version Kelly 133 US. 21, 1890. And B. Is all private law an international law, but may be referred to as private international law, and it is owned by the same people that own public law, 88-243, 1968. The UCC was written and it is owned by the UNIDROIT, the International Institute for the Unification of Private Law, which is located within the Vatican, about 100 yards from the Holy See. Number 1. To properly address public law, one must understand that a private corporate charter owns public law, and public law is statutory. Public law was converted to public policy in 1938. Policy, political, equals police. All private corporations, fictions, including governments, are under public policy and can only deal with other corporations' fictions. Number 2, private man is not affected by private law, or public policy as long as private man does not harm another private man. He is not statutory, but lawful. Number 3, public means of concerning or affecting the common unity of the people, the assemblage of private man. 4, private means not available for public use, control, or participation belonging to a particular person or persons, as opposed to the public or the government. Remember, as a corporation, the government becomes no more than any other corporate person. Not holding an official or public position. 5, the entire taxing and monetary systems are hereby placed under the UCC. The Federal Tax Lien Act of 1966. C. The U.S. pays $260,000 per year to UNIDROIT for the use of the copyright UCC. The international registry is the private law of UNIDROIT, and since the United States has signed onto the UNIDROIT statute, the International Institute of the Unification of Private Law, all of which is incorporated herein by reference in its entirety, which is all about private international law, which is another name for the Uniform Commercial Code. On page 6, legislative activities, the first item is principles of international commercial contracts. And on page 10, it shows 1955 Benelux Treaty on Compulsory Insurance Against Civil Liability in Respect of Motor Vehicles, and 1958 Convention concerning the recognition and enforcement of decisions relating to maintenance obligations towards children. Hague, Hague, for a conference on private international law. UNIDROIT is owned and operated by the Vatican, and they intend to enforce their religious ceremony on the millions of people on the land in America and elsewhere in the world. This is further proof that the corporation called the United States is owned and operated by the Vatican to further their agenda, and they are using their commercial law to enforce their martial law. No law compels a private sector, non-governmentally privileged work eligible woman or man to submit a W-4 or a W-9 form or their equivalents, nor to attain or disclose an SSN as a condition of being hired or of keeping his job, with the exception of an order from a court of contempt jurisdiction issued by a duly qualified judge. No amounts can be lawfully taken from one's pay for taxes, fees, or other charges, without the worker's explicit, intentional, knowing, voluntary, and written consent. It is the manner of enforcement which gives the Title 42, 1983 its unique importance, for enforcement is placed in the hands of the people. Each citizen acts as a private attorney general who takes on the mantle of the sovereign, guarding for all of us the individual liberties enunciated in the Constitution. Frankenhauser v. Rizzo, 59 FRD 1973. Then Section 4, Assassination, 148, that the law of war does not allow proclaiming either an individual belonging to the hostile army, or a citizen, or a subject of the hostile government an outlaw, who may be slain without trial by any captor, any more than the modern law of peace allows such international outlawry. On the contrary, it abhors such outrage. The sternest retaliation should follow the murder committed in consequence of such proclamation, made by whatever authority. Civilized nations look with horror upon offers of regards for the assassination of enemies as relapses into barbarism. The laws of Congress in respect to those matters do not extend into the territorial limits of the states, but have force only in the District of Columbia and other places that are within the exclusive jurisdiction of the national government. CHA v. U.S. 152, U.S. 211, 1894. Under the laws of commerce, truth is sovereign. The foundation of Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, is commercial law. The foundation of commercial law is based upon certain universal, eternally just, valid moral precepts and truths. The basis of commercial law is the law of Exodus of the Old Testament, i.e., the Ten Commandments, the Judaic Orthodox Hebrew commercial law of Moses, the laws of commerce, unchanged for at least 6,000 years, form the basis of Western civilization, if not all nations of the world. Therefore, commercial law applies universally throughout the world. Commercial law is non-judicial. It is prior to, superior to, and bias of, and cannot be set aside or overruled by the statutes of any government, legislator, governmental, or quasi-governmental, quasi-governmental agencies, courts, judges, and law enforcement agencies, all of which are under an inherent obligation to uphold such commercial law. Commercial law is a war of truth, expressed in the form of an intellectual weapon called an affidavit. An affidavit is simply a written list of facts or truths, signed under the penalty of perjury, and usually notarized. The person making and signing an affidavit is called the affidavit. It is survival of the fittest, where the last unrebutted affidavit stands triumphant as the truth. Then the 10 maxims of commercial law. Number 1, a workman is worthy of his hire. Exodus 20:15, Lev 19:13, Matt 10:10, Luke 10:7, Tim 2 Tim 2:6. It is against equity for free men not to have the free disposal of their own property. Number 2, all are equal under the law. Exodus 21:23-25, Lev 24:17-21, Duet 1:17-19-21, Matt 22:36-40, Luke 10:17, Col 3:25. No one is above the law. Commerce by the law of nations ought to be common, and not be converted into a monopoly for the private gain of a few. And number 3, Comrades truth is sovereign. Exodus 20:16, Psalm 107:2, John 8:32, 2 Cor 13:8. To lie is to go against the mind. A retinal proverb. Of all that is good, sublimity is supreme. Truth is expressed in the form of an evident. 4. Lev 5:4-5, Lev 6:3-5, Lev 19:11-13, number 32, Matt 5:33, James 5:12. Then 5. An unrefuted evidence stands as truth in commerce. 1 Pet. 125 Heb 6:13-15. He who does not deny admits. 6. An unrefuted affidavit becomes judgment in commerce. Heb. 6:16-17. Any proceeding in court, tribunal, or arbitration form consists of a contest or duel of commercial affidavits, wherein the remaining points not refuted in the end stand as the truth of the matters to which the judgment of law is applied. 7. A matter must be expressed to be resolved. Heb 14:16, Phil 4:5, and F 6:19-21. He who fails to assert his rights has none. He who asserts his rights has none. 8. He who leaves the field of battle first does not respond to the affidavit, loses by default. Job, Matt 10:22. He who does not repel a wrong when he can occasions it. 9. Sacrifice is the measure of credibility. Acts 7, life death of Stephen. He who bears the burden ought to derive the benefit. One who is not damaged, put at risk, or willing to swear an oath on his commercial liability for the truth of his statements and the legitimacy of his actions has no basis to assert charges or claims, and forfeits all credibility and right to authority. 10. A lien or claim can be satisfied only through A. Rebuttal by counter affidavit point by point, B. Resolution by a jury, or C. Payment for performance of the claim. Genesis 2-3, Matt 4, Revelation. If the plaintiff fails to prove his case, the defendant is absolved. Because truth is sovereign in commerce, and everyone is responsible for propagating the truth in all of their speaking, writing, and acting, all commercial processes function by affidavits. I don't know. Certified under oath to be true, correct, not misleading, and complete on each affiant. Commercial liability regarding all matters stated and likewise demanded in written matters on nearly every document that those who run the system deserve that you sign. Your signature is presumed to be under penalty of perjury. In a court setting, however, testimony and oral commercial affidavit is sworn to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. The participant must provide material evidence, i.e., ledgering, bookkeeping, providing that each fact or entry is true, valid, verifiable, and relevant. Without the acceptance of liability in support of one's assertions, no credibility is established.
Awesome. So what'd you read?
I just read like a summary of this whole book, which is like the 10 maxims to carry yourself in court, as well as the views of you and how to assert yourself as a private man.
Mm-hmm.
We also learned about UniDroit, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, is like private international law association. We also got into American Bar Association, ABA. I had ABA, not what it stands for.
American Bar Association.
Yes.
That's where the lawyers get their licensing and stuff like that from.
Isn't that where you have to go?
No. That's why when my lawyers start fucking up and I start experiencing certain things I don't want to experience, that's why I go to Tattletale.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so overall in the book, tell me some things that you learned or some things that like resonate with you in your life today that you listen to in the book.
The foundation of commercial law is based upon certain universal, eternally just or valid moral precepts and truths. The basis come from like the law of Exodus of the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments, the Judaic Orthodox Hebrew, and commercial laws of Moses. That being the case, it makes me question a lot of things since this is mostly United States law, even though they include Hebrew commercial laws of Moses as well as the Judaic Orthodox. Why would they count the Hebrew commercial law of Moses?
Because time is not linear. To make you think that things were like so old, so long ago, when they teach you certain histories and our stories or whatever, they create like this really big disconnect. What we fail to realize is we wasn't allowed to be ourselves in these public school systems. Public school system was the training for real, for generation to generation. We weren't allowed to use our language. We weren't allowed to tell our native stories. We weren't allowed to wear our natural hair. We weren't allowed to do any of these things. So now, 3-4 generations later, when we look at pictures of our old selves, they seem like, who is this? Because I never seen my mom or my grandma act like this, dress like this, present themselves like this. Yeah, because we all went through training. They trained us to be like this way. So now our original way just seems so long ago. Hebrew law is not that long ago. We only in the year 2024. And that's BC. Well, AD. This is after his death. So it's not. So when you think about the story of Moses and all that in the lineage, and that's why we used to put like our bloodline and marriage and death certificates and stuff in the Bible to align our lineage with that in the Bible. Excuse me, but it really wasn't that long ago. And if we get to the Bible stories, it was just a lot of attempts of redirecting everybody back onto natural law, universal law. But we've been battling these banks and shit. You see how long we've been doing it? We're doing this since biblical times. And so now it's a lot of work kind of discrediting the Bible, separating us from the Bible, doing all of these things so that you don't think 1 + 1 = 2. You don't even think about that even being a part of the math problem. A lot of people have strayed far away from the Bible, not realizing the Bible is necessary. But I'm glad that you got some things out of it, and we're learning, and we're growing, and it's fun here. So just to give y'all like a summary again. Hey, K-Sean, how you doing, love? We read the UCC Connection, How to Free Yourself from Legal Tyranny, which was a really good read. It was giving us how to conduct yourself in the courtroom, how to communicate, how to respond to letters from the IRS. They gave us a little introduction to negotiable instruments. They told us the difference between legislative democracy and republic. The admiralty jurisdiction, we touched on that a little bit. Common law. Um, it was just a very interesting read. I do see myself, utilizing this book, keep coming back to this to, confirm certain paper filings and stuff, especially with the different things I have going on in my personal, which I'll keep you guys abreast about, as far as like, responding to the IRS letters and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a very interesting read. Really liked it. Very informative. So starting tomorrow, like I said, we're gonna start reading the Common Law Handbook for Jurors, Sheriffs, Bailiffs, and Justice. This book is about the same length, so this book by like Sunday, Monday, probably sooner than that. And then we're gonna get into, yeah, it is necessary, how to outsmart the credit bureaus. Because basically what you're doing is you utilize your credit. Somebody broke this down for me and it made so much sense. You're going to use your business credit. First you get rid of all your contracts on your personal. Say you're a living, breathing person. But then if you want to like play the game, create your own straw man by getting a business and getting that specific EIN number for that business and building that business credit. And then with that business credit, you can go get a car loan, you can go get a house loan, you can go get these loans, and then you can utilize these negotiable instrument paperwork to offset the debt. That's essentially what you're learning how to do. So far, when he broke it down to me that way, it made sense. But we'll see as we go along. No, we don't learn this in school. You know what's crazy? The spaces that we deal with the most, we don't learn. We don't learn how to conduct ourselves. We don't learn about the different forms of citizenship and nationality that we have to choose from on this plane. They always tell us about illegal aliens this, illegal aliens that, but we never know about like what we can do as a people. We also don't learn about how to conduct ourselves in a courtroom, which everybody has to go to court at least one time in their life. Everybody ends up in court at least one time in their life. We don't learn how to conduct ourselves when we get pulled over by the police outside of how they want a U.S. citizen to behave. And we don't get this information about the IRS. If nothing else, I would think that we would at least have an IRS course in the public school system because everybody deals with the IRS. Everybody loves the income tax. Income tax is a new concept that was created during war because they could not, because they were trying to find a way to take people's money all year long. And so the guise was, oh, if I take your money all year long, then at the end of the year, I'll give you some of the money back. But it's such a lump sum that you'll just be, so happy to have it. You won't even realize nothing else. It's just, and it works. Like I remember as a child, everybody was always talking about when I get my income tax, when I get my income tax, when I get my income tax. Everybody's worried about income tax. All year long, everybody makes plans for income taxes. Everybody fills out these IRS forms and have learned to master IRS forms with dependents to where like for 6 months, they'll say they have 10 dependents. And then for the next 6 months, they'll lower it so that they can offset their taxes. And that's something that you learn how to play the hustle. But what if you learn how to, fill out IRS forms to where you didn't have to pay taxes all year round? Like, why are you paying, war taxes all year round to get some of it back? And they're not fully informing you. And nobody has the mindset to go on the IRS website and just swim around because the information is there. Like you can go on the IRS website right now, all that information is sitting there. Go on whatever state you live in, .gov website, all the information showing how that area is under ancient law. Look up how the public property, look up the private properties, look up the libraries, the city buildings and stuff. Look at the crests, look at the mantras, look at the images. Like in front of our library out here, there's a statue of Hermes and there's a shield. And you look right across the street, there's a sign and it's an anchor and it says, don't let go of the ship. And then when you go down to the riverfront, there's a big ass anchor right there and the New Jersey flag that has a lot of ancient symbols on it and the shield. Every state has a shield. Pay attention to the shield of your state because it says a lot about your state. And then you have, of course, the United States flag on top of it, and then right under it, it has "Don't let go of the ship." So they know that we're an admiralty law, and that's why they have that statement, "Don't let go of the ship," because we are lost to sea. They have us under the Cesta KV trust, and if we tell them, "Hey, I'm not dead, I'm alive," and I posted about the Cesta KV trust on my Instagram yesterday, some screenshots on the definitions and the definitions of getting a filling out the ROE form, the Form 56 to the IRS, letting them know that you're a living, breathing person. Like they literally have this IRS form. Like for the people that are spending time saying this isn't real, that's wild. Because if it wasn't real, why are there IRS forms specifically for these things? You have the power to do it. Yeah, they made the IRS scary so we don't go snooping, just like how they made the courtroom scary. And they made these police officers scary. They made everything seem so scary to where you think that you should only be speaking to these people when you're quote unquote in trouble. But no, you should be speaking to these people to do your business. These people work for us. Once you get your paperwork in order, they work for us, not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? So, we just have to take a breath. And again, like Brandon like said in the video, like we're not here to be angry. We're not here to start wars. We don't really want to fight wars. We want peace. So that's literally like the last of the last resort. You know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, in between time, it's just about informing each other. Yeah, there's some false prophets out here. Yeah, it's some people so hyped on having YouTube, followers and that followers so they can get paid on the platform, so they can get paid for their courses, so they can get paid for doing their paperwork, that they're not fully learning things. So they're teaching a lot of people misinformation. And it's intentional but unintentional for different reasons. Everybody got their own reason. Again, some people just want followers on their platforms to get views. Some people like to sell their courses or their books. Some people just like the attention. Some people are actually agents trying to get you from one ship to the other ship. You know what I mean? And don't fall for that either, because it's not just America. You could have a strawman situation in Canada. You can have the strawman situation over in England, Great Britain. It's probably really crazy over there because they do have the IRS and all that. It's just under different acronyms. They have different ABC companies. They use different letters. But and then you also have it in the countries in Africa, as you can see with their different presidents and how their presidents shake hands with the same people that keep the strongmen and all this stuff alive. So be mindful of those people who say, "Oh, get off their ship and come on our ship and write things under our letterheads and da da da." Because I've had a few people get locked up off of that, and they were coming to me, for energy awareness, like healing after, because at that point in time I wasn't versed, and I still don't think I'm versed. That's why I'm sitting here learning with you. I'm not preaching to y'all. I'm not teaching to y'all. I can utilize some of the stuff that I've already learned on my journey to expound on what we're reading and talking about, but I don't fully know it. So I'm going to be growing with you guys. We're learning together. We're going to learn how to do all of this together, and we're going to learn the procedures and the law so that when we're in certain procedures, we know what laws to speak on. All of them work for us, yeah. And so, but they made it so we don't think that they work for us. They made it so that we be afraid to speak up to them and everything else. But that stops. They wasn't ready for this generation the way they thought they was. A lot of people, they've been able to distract with the internet stuff, but it's still a lot of us and it's growing. You know what I mean? It's still a lot of us that's still like, nah, we're not with the shit. So, we've read the book. We just finished the UCC Connection. And these 3 books you could pick up on Amazon. All 3 of them are $15 altogether. Or you could pick up one at a time. Whatever works. But we read How to Meet Your Strong Man. We just finished UCC Connection. And tomorrow we're going to read the 3rd one. And that's what I got. So now we're about to play the video. And I'll be in the background watching and responding in the comments, because I'm going to be watching with you guys.
Hey, welcome to video number.
Attention affiliate marketers.
Hey, welcome to video number 10. There's one thing I wanted to go over with you guys regarding the revocation of election from the last video that I didn't go over. It's not terribly important. It's just it's something that I think is important enough, just barely, to go over with you guys. So we're gonna go over 26 USC 6013 G6. G6. Yeah. Section G, section 6. G6, G6. Where is it at? G6. G6. Okay. So they word this in a really complicated way. Again, like everything else. Fucking annoying. If any election under the subsection for two individuals is terminated under paragraph 4 or 5 of any taxable year, such two individuals shall be ineligible to make an election under the subsection for any subsequent taxable year. So in dog shit talk, that's what it's saying, right? But in normal, non-fucked in the head human terms, what that means is once you file your revocation of election and you annihilate your contract, you can never, ever again contract. And what they're saying is two individuals. I don't really know why they name it that way. I'm assuming they name it that way because of they're talking about joint returns and stuff in this section. I'm assuming they're talking about marriage, maybe, because in marriage, you're when you get a marriage license, that is not a true of the land marriage, which we're going to get into how to do that later. But if you get a marriage license, it kind of, like you guys know, legally it turns you into one person in the law, right? So I guess maybe that's why they name it like this. They're talking about people who have gotten a marriage license. I don't know why they, or they're just trying to be confusing, which could totally be, could be the case as well, right? So keep in mind, once you file that Form 56, or once you send in your affidavits for the revocation of election, if you choose not to use the Form 56 and you choose to use the Weiss and Associates or one of the other people, like what I did, which, now that I've gone this far and learned as much as I have, I would say, I mean, the Form 56 is a way to revoke your election in a very simple, non-specific way. But if you really, really, really want to go to like a higher level, you can always send something in later that clarifies things more, like I said in the video. But it's up to you. If you got tons of cash and you're really into all this stuff like I am, you probably should do the affidavit route. I think I'm probably better. If that's the rare individual, like the 5% of people that are going to be doing all this, if you fit the other 95%, just do the WABEN or the W4T. If you absolutely can't get the WABEN, try to get the WABEN as best you can. And then do the Form 56. That should be good enough, right? But in terms of another part I wanted to go over with you guys, I totally spaced out. So when I drew out all the different contracts that are all over the place, right? Let's go back. I forgot a very important contract, and I want to cover that with you now. So, this is like a video game. We're gonna get to the last boss eventually, right? So you have U.S. and then you have man. You as a man or woman, or birthing person. If you don't want to eat your rights, if you hate your, for some people, your rights just might be like mosquitoes buzzing around, stinging you and shit, like West Nile virus mosquitoes, and you might just want to get rid of all those pesky rights. Which, just tell everybody you're a birthing person. Just chop your dick off, and then boom, that's real simple, right? So, so we have taxes, right? Now this one, we've already started killing it. So let's say 2 crosses is a full kill, right? So we've got one cross through this one, right? And that one cross is the W8BEN /ROE revocation of election, and we're going to put in the ROE the Form 56. because you can do it through an affidavit, or you can do it through the form, right? Now, the second line is going to be state tax is the second line. Okay. And in order to get that line, you in California, you have to open a trust, and you have to structure it in a certain way. And I will be getting into that in a later video. That's pretty advanced. So I'm going to chill on that one for right now. Okay. But if you you're already fucking way ahead of yourself. I mean, you're already, I would almost go so far as you've already killed off this contract a huge percentage, like 80%. And then we just have 20% left that we have to clean up. Okay. You can also kill off sales tax, but sales tax doesn't really contract you into anything as far as I know. I don't think it does. So it's kind of whatever. Sales tax is kind of whatever, right? So citizenship status, again, I put that up here. Citizenship, that one contracts you in. Taxes contracts you in. This one we're starting to get rid of here, big time. And actually, technically, to the U.S., state tax, I don't know if it really contracts you into the U.S. It's a subcorporation of the U.S., but it might not really subcontract you in. I don't know. I actually don't know. I would assume it does, actually, now that I think about it, but I don't know. So that one we're starting to get killed off, okay? And then what was the other ones? Marriage, we talked about that. That one contracts you in, right? Now, there's a big one that I forgot to mention, and I was just thinking about it just now, and I wanted to go back and talk about that a little bit more. Voter registration. And I know a lot of conservative people, right-leaning people, this is going to piss them off because they think that voting is the answer to everything, and it's totally not. not even remotely. So voter registration, basically, when you sign voter registration, you are you're stating that you are a resident. You have to state that you're a resident of state of California or U.S. citizen or a resident of United States or something. They make you do that all the time for voter registration. So the problem is, I think I had that up just now. So here we're going to go back. Taxes, citizenship, marriage. You guys already know about that. Voter registration. Okay. So voter registration, you have to sign documentation that states that you're a resident in order to be. So basically, the way they trick you is this. They say voting is so important. Voting is the answer to everything. Voting is how you fix all these problems. We'll fix all these problems, right? All you have to do is just go down and vote. And then you go down and then you sign documentation that you're a resident. And that is how they get jurisdiction over you. Okay? That's how the United States gets jurisdiction over you. That's how your state gets jurisdiction over you. Voting, you got to think about it. You drive around, you see all these TV shows, commercials, and you see ads on Google, and you see banners up here, like in where I'm at. You see these banners on the side of the road in the downtown area. You know, vote. Every vote counts, and blah 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 blah. It's like, bro, when they start paying for this shit and putting it in front of you, you know there's some kind of like something's behind it. Like, you know, like they're trying to flip the fucking trust on you somehow, right? So you got to think to yourself, what are they trying to do? Well, voter registration is a really, really heavy duty way that they tie you into the jurisdiction and into the system, right? So what you have to do, and I know this is kind of a bummer, I will try to describe a way around this if possible, but basically all you got to do is just like what I did was I did California cancel voter registration, right? And then for California, they have this California voter registration cancellation form, right? I, Brandon Joe Williams, which is the full name, the same one that I used to register to vote. Cancel my voter registration. Please cancel my voter registration. print full legal name, date of birth, complete residence address. You want to make sure this matches everything in your thing. See, now this one right here, look at this. So again, they're asking for two addresses, a mailing address and a complete residence address, right? So complete residence address, if you type something in this fucking box, besides, it says here, P.O. Box, rural route, etc., will not be accepted. The reason why they don't accept P.O. Box and rural route is because it doesn't give them jurisdiction. They want jurisdiction. They want you to say, I'm a resident of the state of California. They want you to say that. And voter registration is the cookie that they put out for you to get you to bend over and grab the cookie so they can rail you in the fucking ass. And that is what they're doing, right? So confidential information, social security number. Okay. So you type in all this information here and you print this thing off and you sign it, and then you return it to your county elections office. And they have the list of all the different offices right here. I was so hardcore about mine. I sent it certified mail return receipt requested because I was not fucking around. I sent mine to, I think it was this Los Angeles one here, this P.O. Box. And then I actually got an email certifying that my voter registration had been canceled. And then I stopped getting all voting related mail. So that was awesome. And I know it's a bit of a bummer. I think there's a later video that I might cover this, but I was supposed to cover this later or something, but I just had attention on it because we're going over all these different places where you're contracted. And, this is a huge, massive contract that you can kill off super, super ultra easily. But my main concern about telling you about how to kill this contract is the fact that there's a lot of people who want to vote, and they're like so hardcore about it that they're not willing to give up that right, the right to vote. They call it the right to vote. It is so fucking funny, the fucking shit they pull on us. So it's not a right to vote. It's a right to vote for a president. It's not a vote. It's not a right to vote for a CEO of a private corporation known as District of Columbia that's parading around like a fucking crossdresser as the United States government. Oh, God, it's so fucking funny. So all of life's a fucking stage, man. All of life is a stage. So, you can be scared and pissed off and cry all day long, or you can just sit back and laugh because. You know what it is? It's like, let's say you're on a ship or something like that, or let's say you have some kind of a business situation. You're working at your business, right? When you learn all this stuff, this is my experience, and I kind of hope that you have the same experience because I think there's really no other way to have. There's no options. Like this is just the way the experience is. So let's say you're working at a car dealership. Let's just make something up, right? And it's like, okay, someone crashes one of the cars into one of the poles. They sideswipe the pole, right? Fuck, it's like that's bad, right? Now we have, the next level up from there is like, you find out someone's stealing from the company. Oh shit, that's terrible, right? Then the next level up, you have, like a small fire that broke out, and burned up two of the cars, oh shit, that's really bad, and then the next level up you have, a tax problem or something like that. Okay, that's terrible, and it's so serious and so terrible, right? And then you go above that, and then you have something else terrible and something else terrible and something else terrible and something else terrible. And then eventually you hit a point where it's like there's a hurricane coming through the town, and there's 6 mass murderers that are on the loose, and both of your ex-wives are suing you, and your current wife left you, and your kid died, and you just got diagnosed with stage 16 cancer. You hit a certain point when it comes to problems and difficulties and nightmares where you just you just start laughing. Like you're just like, what do I even do like with this? You're just like, fuck it. Might as well have some rum and enjoy my last seconds on earth. I kind of feel like all this stuff is sort of like that. It's just, it's so crazy and it's so extreme that you just kind of, for your own sanity and your own enjoyment, you just kind of have to just sit back and laugh. You can't take all this too seriously. It'll kill you. It'll absolutely kill you. We're going down a rabbit hole that will kill you, right? So, yeah, it's just so fucking funny, right? So, registry. We're going to go over the word registry, right? Because we have voter registration. Okay. So it's like, well, what is registration or registry? What does that mean in relation to voting? And I'm going to try to explain to you how I have a theory on how you can still vote without fucking up and contracting into this. So if you just give me a few moments, I'm going to explain that to you. But this is a theory for sure. I actually don't know. I canceled voter registration. I have no intentions of voting for fucking absolutely anything. If there's some kind of like a de jure true government election at some point in time, which there actually is I guess to just kind of side veer off to the side a little bit here. This is actually really interesting too. We're going to go over registry. I'm going to go over that with you, but check this out. Let's see here. There actually is a de jure government as of like the past couple of years, right? It's brand new. And I'm going to show you the website. It's the website is uas.govt.agency. And it means United Allied States. Welcome to the website of the United Allied States, right? So the UAS, as far as I can tell, the vision of the UAS is the establishment of a worldwide sovereign nation of states, each offering its residents an unparalleled level of freedom and prosperity, utilizing principles that are proven to facilitate economic growth and foster the creation of wealth. The UAS will promote the values of individual freedoms, respect for human life, and free enterprise, all with fierce determination to drastically impact the lives of not only its citizens, but its allies, partners, and the continent of Africa as a whole. Wait, what? Africa? Let's see here. Oh, a worldwide sovereign nation of states. I see. United Allied States. Let's see here. Might just be a strange way that they worded it. I don't know if they worded it in a certain way to protect themselves legally or something, but I'm pretty sure apply for residency. I don't know. Apply for passport.
I was born with crappy teeth, and I met this great team, and the first thing I said to them,
Their maintenance. Looking at this more in detail, this might be something a little different. Apply to incorporate a nonprofit organization. I thought this was the de jure government of America. It might not be now that I'm looking at it more in more detail. A worldwide sovereign nation of states. I don't know. All I know is there is a president. If you go to, let me see here, FAQs, it's got nothing to do with the UN. The overall goal is to have 12 to 24 states worldwide, economic zones. It's a Christian entity, a Judeo-Christian values. So maybe this is sort of like the anti-trilateral commission kind of a situation. Interesting. This is sort of like the de jure government, but it's more like the de jure government of the entire planet, separated into sections. It seems to be more like the anti-Council on Foreign Relations, anti-trilateral commission kind of situation. The rights is the right to no taxation based on income, the right to own or carry a firearm. Yeah, so this is literally like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, protection from unlawful search and seizure. So this is the Constitution here. So the right to a jury and due process, the right to peacefully protest. Yeah, so this is America just in a worldwide de jure America. So this is beyond. So this is the de jure America, but it's turning the whole world into a de jure America. It's called the UAS. I mean, I don't know a ton about this. This whole thing is fucking bullshit. I don't know. We have Mr. Stephen McCullough as the president of it. From everything they write here, I mean, it seems pretty dope. So, if someone wanted to look into this and really see, August 3rd, 2020 is the first president was made, Stephen McCullough. So in terms of voting and in terms of the future of what we're doing in this world and in terms of presidency and in terms of government, in terms of all these different things, this would probably be a better bet, in my opinion, than trying to vote for the CEO of a private for-profit corporation where the CEO, as we've already learned, is just a bitch, right? Doesn't know shit, just does what he's told, as we're seeing in the Biden administration right now, and as we've seen a million times before. So just to chill you out a little bit on that, but I'm still going to try to show you how you can vote if you really still want to vote for the CEO or a private organization, and you really think that's going to help anything. I know people are hardcore about that, and it's just so ingrained, especially where I'm from in Indiana in the Midwest. So I'm gonna show you what I think I've learned. Again, voting. I would personally recommend you cancel all voter registration and stay the fuck away from all of it, unless it's something like the UAS or some kind of de jure different type of voting. But if you really, really want to, I'll show you how you can probably do it. Okay, so the main key here is in the word registration. So we're going to look up registration right now. Give me 1 second here. So registration. Registration. Where did it go? Registry. A register, a book authorized or recognized by law, kept for the recording or registration of facts or documents, the act of recording or writing in the register or depositing in the place of public records. Now, this one is the interesting one. In commercial law, the registration of a vessel at the custom house for the purpose of entitling her to the full privileges of a British or American-built vessel. So what I get from this is giving a vessel that has no privileges and then giving privileges to the vessel again. So the poor slave, we're going to give him some scraps of rights, basically is what I get from this, right? But basically registration
Did you know 3,000 people are foreclosed every day? Not
What's going on?
Um, registration. So registration definition, I forget where I got this from, but it's to prepare a security for sale to the public. So when you have a registration, basically, you're saying, I'm a bitch, I'm a slave, you're the slave owner, I need special approval to vote. So if you could please give me the special approval to vote, I would really appreciate that. And they say, oh, totally, slave. No problem, slave. All we need you to do is just sign this document here that states that you're a resident of Washington, D.C. That way we can truly control you and have full jurisdiction over you. And then we'll give you the right to vote so that you can go and fix all these problems that are going on in the world and be a great person, right? And so from what I can tell, it's the registration to vote that fucks everything up, right? Now, does that mean you can't go and just vote on voting day, just completely randomly, and just show up and they say you aren't registered and you say, yeah, well, yeah, but as per whatever the Constitution, just say whatever, as per the Constitution, I still have the right to vote and blah, 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 blah. They'll let you vote without registering. So I haven't done that. I have no interest in doing that. But if that's something that you'd like to do, that's the way to do it. But again, it doesn't mean shit. So you can do it if you want, but have fun. So let's go on to the next point I wanted to go on to. That was some previous points that I felt like I had missed. So we've gone over that. Taxes by definition are a contribution imposed, right? So what you're doing when you are paying taxes is you're actually gifting money to the United States, right? And I'm gonna go over that right here, right? So we have Title 31, Section 321D2 of the U.S. Code says, for purposes of the federal income, estate, and gift taxes, property accepted under Paragraph 1 shall be considered a gift or bequest to or for the use of the United States. So let's go. Title 31, USC 321. What was it? 31? Title 31.
This is the stuff your insurance company doesn't want you to know about. Have you noticed your auto insurance?
1 USC 321. And that was subsection D2. Here it is. For purposes of the federal income, estate, and gift taxes, property accepted under Paragraph 1 shall be considered as a gift or bequest to. So let's go ahead and clear up the word bequest. What is it? Bequest. Money or property that you give to someone after you die, making a legal document called a will. So I guess they're talking about like probate. For example, all these huge trust accounts that are secret that you don't know about. When you die, they take all that back. So I guess maybe they're referring to that. Let's see. The Free Dictionary is sometimes a lot more robust. Bequest. Let's see. Something that is bequeathed, a legacy. Yeah. So they're talking about in this section. Let me get rid of some of this stuff here. They're talking about for the purposes of federal income, estate, and gift taxes, property accepted under paragraph 1 shall be considered as a gift or bequest to or for the use of the United States. Paragraph 1, I don't know if they're referring to... I don't know what paragraph 1 means, but anyways, they're referring to taxes. Federal income taxes, estate taxes, gift taxes, and property accepted under paragraph 1 shall be considered as a gift or bequest to or for the use of the United States. Okay, so it's a gift. You probably didn't realize that. It's all a gift. And the congressional record on March 27, 1943, page 2580 says, the income tax is therefore not a tax on income as such. It is an excise tax with respect to certain activities and privileges. What is an excise tax? Excise taxes are taxes that are imposed on various goods, services, and activities. So like specific services and activities. It's not just a generalized tax. It's like a gas tax would be an excise tax when you pay those little taxes, or cigarette tax or alcohol tax. These are excise taxes, right? So what they're saying here is the income tax is therefore not a tax on income as such. It's an excise tax with respect to certain activities and privileges. So when they say privileges, they're referring to, as a U.S. citizen, you don't have rights, you have privileges. So when you're in that status as a U.S. citizen, the activities and the privileges that you're going to get from the government because you're a public servant and not a true American, which is measured by reference to the income which they produce, right? So it has nothing to do with all of your income. It has to do with all of the income that you make as a public servant working for the private for-profit corporation known as United States. The income is not the subject of the tax. It is the basis for determining the amount of tax. So that's actually how taxes work. There are no accountants that know that at all on the whole planet. So hopefully this course will create the birth of a bunch of a new type of accountant that actually knows all this information. If I had to sit back and think, if I was an accountant and I was watching these videos, what would I do? Or a bookkeeper or a financial advisor, all of these industries are going to get wiped off the face of the earth here soon. So what do you do to, what are you going to do to change your thinking and your behavior to not only continue to do what you're doing, but to make more money than you ever thought imaginable, while at the same time getting at the very, very front of this massive transition that's about ready to happen in this country? You can totally do that. You can help people protect themselves. You can help them change their status. You can help them put their money into trusts. You can help them go totally private. You can help them go get out of the public arena entirely. You can help them discharge the public debt off of their trust accounts. You can help them locate their trust accounts. You can help them use their trust accounts. It's unbelievable. And the amount of money you can make doing that, oh my God, it's disgusting. I am in the process right now, as we speak. I am working with the U.S. Treasury to put together a $500 billion trust for myself as the beneficiary. 500 billion. 500 billion with a B, like Brandon, $billion. So, it's huge what you can do with this shit, man. This little like fucking puny 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, 300,000 that you guys are making as accountants is so fucking peanuts, man. again, if there's anybody who's an accountant listening to this, you just shift everything over to this new de jour system and help usher in the new America that's coming, whether you like it or not. And you have a beautiful, beautiful future ahead of you. So non-resident aliens don't have any tax burdens as per everything you're going to find. They don't have any tax burdens. So like, I don't have any tax burdens. Now, do I still pay excise taxes? Well, yeah, I do. How are you going to get out of paying cigarette taxes if you want to buy cigarettes? You just don't buy cigarettes. How are you going to get out of paying gas excise taxes? You don't buy gas? I don't know. I can't do that. Not right now. So, there are still excise taxes that I pay that I pretty much don't really know how to get out of and really don't really care that much to even try. So people say, oh, you don't pay your taxes. Well, I technically do, because the thing is that all of the excise taxes I'm still paying, and I don't have any other tax liability as per all the codes because of the way I've changed my life and changed my status and set up my life. So I'm 100% legal and 100% lawful. And also keep in mind, the term taxpayer means that you're a U.S. citizen. So when people go like, oh, you're not a taxpayer. No, fuck no, dude. Like, I am an extremely proud non-taxpayer. I am non-contracted, non-U.S. citizen, non-taxpayer. And the IRS already knows it, and they've already changed my file to represent that of which I truly am. Again, all they do is they say, oh, he's a non-resident alien and he wants to change his file to non-taxpayer. No problem. Now, are they going to make a fucking trumpet call? Are they going to send out a bunch of troops and Boy Scouts to sound off the trumpets to let everybody know what you're doing? No. But are they going to freak out and give me a hard time and do something weird? No, not at all. They just change your master tax file to no tax liability, non-taxpayer, and it's that simple. It's literally that simple. Now, they might still send you letters that say, dear taxpayer. If they do that, you got to correct them. You aren't a taxpayer. You don't want them assuming that you're contracted in as a U.S. citizen. You want to jump all over them, man. You want to be like, no way, brother. I'm not a fucking taxpayer. Please don't call me a taxpayer. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm not contracted in any of this stuff. I don't agree to be contracted in any of this stuff. I don't want to have anything to do with any of this stuff. And you want to make sure you tell them, you don't get pissed off. Don't get freak out. Just real calm. It's just, hey, you're trying to get me to respond as though I'm some kind of trust in all capital letters of my fucking name. You're trying to tell me I'm a taxpayer. What is the definition of a taxpayer? A taxpayer is someone who's under the jurisdiction and owes taxes because of their jurisdiction, basically, right? I forget exactly where that is. It's probably on the IRS website somewhere. So when you're no longer a part of the jurisdiction, as we've already gone over in some of these case law quotes, right? Like the other one, it's if a person can prove they're not a U.S. citizen, then they can't be chased up for a tax liability, right? Let's see here. Where was that one at? I don't know where it is. I lost it. Maybe it's down here. We're going to go over all these. We're going to go over all these quotes. So you want to be very, very loud and clear. Now people always say the same thing because they've been brainwashed to say this. You don't pay your taxes. Now, if you break down that sentence, you, the word you, are they referring to you as a natural human, as a man or a woman? Or are they referring to you as a trust? So the first word, you don't pay your taxes, right? So I would assume that the person themselves, they're talking about me as a natural human living on the land of California or living on the land of California, right? Now, if you're saying you as in living on the land of California, okay. Don't pay, right? That's also complicated. We're going to get into what is money and how does it work and all that kind of thing. So the word pay, you actually can't technically pay for anything in this country using Federal Reserve notes. So we're going to be getting into that later. Then you have the word your, which means like that of which you are under the jurisdiction of. And then you have the word taxes. You don't pay your taxes. Now, the truth is, if you break that sentence down, legally, I do pay my taxes. And the only taxes that I'm legally and lawfully responsible for, not really responsible for, I just can't really get out of them, is your gas tax, your cigarette tax, your liquor tax, these kinds of things, right? So when someone says, oh, you don't pay your taxes, it's like, well, I actually do pay my taxes. The ones that, yeah, I mean, you can clarify it more if you want to. You don't have to. You say, yes, definitely. Of course I pay my taxes because I do. The thing is that you're changing the definition of what your taxes is when you do a revocation of election and when you open up a trust and when you go private and when you do all these things. You're shifting your entire tax burden over to something entirely different. And instead of paying 50 or 60 or 70% of all your money on taxes, you're paying virtually next to nothing. And it's fully legal. Actually, it's more legal than to actually pay all of these taxes that you're seeing in the IRC and everything, because you have to sign all this documentation and lie, stating that you live somewhere where you don't under penalty of perjury, which makes you a criminal. Now that you actually understand this information, you're officially a criminal if you continue to sign those documentations, because you're aware now. Because it says willfully on one of the forms. So at this point, you would categorize as willfully if you were to sign that documentation. Perjury, I believe, is a felony. So you're now a felon. Okay. Then on top of that, when you do sign into the Internal Revenue Code, which doesn't even exist with an enactment clause. So as per Section 7806, I believe, of Title 26, which we went over earlier, I think it was 7806. I have to review it. There's all these rules. Like, for example, I mean, every single person I know, every single person I've ever seen or heard writes off business expenses that actually aren't business expenses. And they write off this and they write off that. And they do this transaction in a certain way. And they do, tactically speaking, that's illegal as per the code itself. That breaks the statute of the code itself once you're contracted into it. So you have to lie under penalty of perjury to pay the damn thing. And then when you're in there paying the damn thing, you do all sorts of illegal shit to try to pay less when you're in it. So what I'm doing and what I recommend is that you stop being a criminal. You stop being a felon. You stop breaking the laws of the code. And you uncontract yourself from the code completely and entirely, because when you uncontract yourself from the code, you are now legal and you are now lawful. Now, if you start fucking around before you submit your Form 56, before you revoke your election, before you fill out your WABEN or whatever you're going to be doing, and before you uncontract yourself, that's illegal. So again, like I said a long time ago at the beginning of the course, at the intro, it's fucking stupid. You don't have to do anything illegal. You're already doing something illegal, and now I'm helping you become legal and lawful. So you shouldn't be doing anything illegal. You are currently doing something illegal. Now that it's willful, it is now a felony for you to sign these forms. It's a felony for you to continue to lie on tax forms and tell them that you are in a particular position or location when you are not. Now you weren't a felon because it wasn't willful. Now you're a felon. So now as a felon, you need to clean up your legal situation and not be a felon anymore. And the way to do that is to revoke your election with a Form 56, to do the WABEN, and to completely uncontract yourself from the system entirely. Now, once you've uncontracted entirely, and you're a non-taxpayer in relation to all of this, now you're 100% entirely and completely legal, honest, and lawful. And I know that sounds completely insane and really wild, but that is actually the reality. They actually make you into a criminal using all of this. They make you into a criminal with voter registration because they make you sign under penalty of perjury that you live in a certain place that you don't. They make you into a criminal through the tax documentation and making you sign documentation that is lies. They do all this to turn you into a criminal on purpose. So what I'm teaching you in this course is how to decriminalize yourself. And if you really want to know like the core thing that you can learn from this course that will prevent you from ever becoming a criminal ever again, is never, ever, don't even think about assuming the definitions of words, phrases, or terms. Don't ever do that. Oh, volunteer. Oh, employee. Oh, government. Oh, American. Oh, alien. Oh, rights. Oh, statutes. Oh, taxes. Oh, I mean, I just looking at this page right here, just looking at this page, looking at these words. What is the definition of legal? What is the definition of lawful? What is the definition of process? What is the definition of revocation? What is the definition of election? What is the definition of master tax file? That would be a term. What is the definition of taxpayer? What is the definition of non-taxpayer? What is the definition of volunteer? What is the definition of employee? What is the definition of status? What is the definition of government? What is the definition of tax liability or no tax liability? What is the definition of treated? What is the definition of resident alien? What is the definition of original? American? Regain? What's the definition of what's the definition of allows? What is the definition of there we go. So you can when you start looking at everything like that, mainly involving like government and legal terms and situations, that is the only way you're going to decriminalize yourself and stop being a felon and a criminal. And the reason why is because even if I teach you how to uncontract from everything that you're contracted into, which is what I'm teaching you in this course, it ain't stopping you from contracting to something else later on down the line, or your children contracting to something, or your husband or wife or your friends or someone you love, your family. What about them? What if they contracted? The only way to truly become a beast and to protect yourself and your family and your loved ones is you have to aggressively question the definition of words and terms and phrases all the time, and never to assume the definition of a word, term, or phrase is like taking a pistol that may or may not, a revolver would be a better choice, but a revolver that may or may not have a bullet in it, putting it in your fucking mouth, pressing it up against the top of your mouth and pulling the trigger to see if maybe there's a bullet inside. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. It's a Russian roulette version of life. And it's kind of why we're all in this fucked up situation that we have to get out of. So true freedom is the curiosity and questioning of all terms, all definitions, all phrases, all the time, constantly, to the point of complete, utter annoyance. You will drive judges insane. You will drive cops insane. All judges, all CPS workers, all cops, when you politely and in a friendly way constantly just barrage them with questions about definitions of words, phrases, and terms, they will run away from you. They will run away in such terror. They can't get away from you fast enough. Your Honor, I have a question. In this sentence here, there is a totally legal, lawful process that you can go through called a revocation of election. Could I ask you some of the definition of the words, please? Because I feel uncomfortable making any decisions when I don't fully have the comprehension of some of these words. Well, yes, of course. Okay. Thank you, Judge. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. In this sentence, what is the definition of legal that is being used in this particular situation? Oh, well, it's blah, blah, blah. Okay. Thank you very much. What is the definition of lawful? Oh, well, it's this. Thank you very much. What is the definition of process in this particular sentence or use? Oh, what's this? Thank you. What is the definition of revocation, or is that some kind of a phrase? Maybe revocation of election. Is that some kind of a phrase? By this point in time, they're losing their mind. Cops are losing their mind. The judges are losing their mind. But you're like you're this is serious. Like you're really sitting there and you're like, dude, like you know this shit. I don't know this shit. Like I want to know these definitions because it's like I want to understand what's going on. I want to have comprehension of what's going on. What do I do here? Please explain these things to me. Please explain to me master tax file. How is that different than any other kind of tax file? Is there different types of tax files? Is there like a sub tax file? Changing my status from taxpayer to non-taxpayer, what does that mean? And what does that do? And does that uncontract me from certain things? Are there any benefits that I should be aware of being a taxpayer versus a non-taxpayer? Is there anything that I'm going to be losing on the beneficial side by being a non-taxpayer? Volunteer employee, how am I a volunteer employee? And does compensation have anything to do with employment when it comes to being a volunteer employee for the federal government? Is there some way that I can continue to be an employee, but yet somehow get some sort of money or income from my position as an employee? So move from volunteer to paid or commissioned employee. These are all things that you can ask, all in relation to the words and the terms and the phrases. And if you do that's so changing your status and doing all this stuff is what we're trying to do in this course. But the ultimate level of protection and the ultimate highest level that you can get to isn't changing these things, because you can change all this shit and then in 10 years they trick you into something else and then now you're back in the system again. You're fucked. The true top level of freedom of the pyramid of this entire course that I'm trying to teach you and show you, the very, very top, is this kind of benevolent, friendly questioning, a curiosity, a genuine curiosity of the words and the terms and the phrases and what do they mean and what do they mean in relation to this and what do they mean in relation to this. And I'm trying to become a better citizen. I'm trying to become a better person. I'm trying to become a better American. I'm trying to see how this all works, and taking the time out of my day and taking the effort out of my day to learn the legal system. I see the importance of this. I see the importance of what you're doing. Law enforcement, police officer, I see what you're doing. I see the importance of what you're doing. I'm curious about what you're doing. I'm curious about the terms that are located on this ticket that you've handed me. I'm curious about what the symbols on your badge mean. I'm curious about what the gold fringe around the American flag on your arm, what the gold fringe means, and how is it different than a normal flag, and how is it? You start getting into all this, and they will run from you, and the reason why is because you're melting down the entire illusion that they live inside of. And you're doing it from a way that they can't really get mad at you and combat you because you're genuine and you're friendly and you're admiring them and you're curious. You're curious about things that they should be curious about. They've never even been curious about. So you're fostering curiosity in them. And it's very dangerous when they realize what's happening, because what's happening is that you're melting down their Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole illusion, right? So that is the most effective thing that you can do. We'll get into some other stuff that you can do as well. But just in terms of a general behavior and generalized demeanor, that is God level. Boom. That's like ultra high on the level, right? And that also, keep in mind, when you act that way, it's always a trust action. So in that situation, you're sort of, you're trying to figure out, how can I be the trustee and they can be the beneficiary, right? Or you can try to figure out the other way around, but you're always trying to figure it out either one way or the other. Either how do I be the beneficiary because they're trying to be the trustee, or how do I be the trustee and make them the beneficiary? That's a little easier because you're more in control of doing it that way, right? So when you start asking these cops and these judges all these questions and stuff, and you do it from the viewpoint of, I'm the trustee and I'm trying to benefit this guy by melting down all these lies in his universe. That's what Jesus did. Whether you believe in Jesus, whether you don't, whether you go to church, I don't go to church, nothing. But if what they say about Jesus is true, this is what made him the Son of God. This is what made him a healer of humanity. Is he would just look at a person and he would say, my Father says that the way to do this is that I'm the trustee and they're the beneficiary. I'm going to figure out a way to benefit this person. How can I benefit the person in front of me? And he would just always operate off of trust law. And if he saw someone and he came into contact with them, boom, he knew there was a trust there, and he was the trustee and they were the beneficiary, and he would behave as such. So, Judge, I have these questions. Can you help me? You're going to maybe gain some additional comprehension about the words and phrases, and so is he, and he's going to start thinking the curiosity about things, and he's going to be like, oh God, I can't do it. It's like kryptonite. So, I mean, if you did this enough with the cop would just quit. If you did this enough with the judge would just quit. They wake up. You spark some kind of curiosity or interest in their universe, and they just wake up one day and they go, Jesus fucking Christ, man, I can't do this anymore. And they just leave. And you're helping that person disconnect from a completely suppressive system, or even better than that, you enlighten someone or spark enough of an interest or curiosity in them that they wind up saying, God, this system is fucked up. I need to do something about this to fix it. And then they wind up fixing the whole system. You see that too. One person stands up and then boom, like everybody's in trouble because that dude's done being a slave and he's done doing harmful things, and he slams in the trust and he becomes the trustee, and he everyone else is the beneficiary. And then that's the end of the whole oppressive system, just falls apart. So, that's a super philosophical side note to all this. Let's get back to taxes. So I'm not telling you what to do. This is for educational purposes only. I could fucking care less what you do. I really could. You know, you can pay your taxes using a 1040 NR if you want to continue to pay taxes, but you just want to eliminate the contract and set yourself up as a non-resident alien. Or you can do the 56, or you can do fucking nothing, or you can take every single dollar that you make from all sources of income and send it all to the United States government. For all I fucking care, live on a park bench. I don't give a fuck. So, interesting statistics. The odds of accidental death in 1 year is 1 in 1,743. The odds of being struck by lightning in 1 year is 1 in 400,000. The odds of being prosecuted by the IRS in 1 year is 1 in 250,000. Again, they don't do anything. All they do is sit there. You tell them that you owe $10,000. You only pay them 2 of that 10,000, and they come snooping around like, yo, bruh, like, you said you're going to pay 10 grand. You said you owed us 10 grand. You paid us 2. Where's the other 8? That's it. That's all they do. It's so fucking stupid. People are so fucking stupid. Here's some quotes that I wanted to go over with you guys. This is a quote from U.S. versus Dickerson. The cooperative taxpayer fares much worse than the individual who relies upon his constitutional rights Only the rare taxpayer would be likely to know that he could refuse to produce his records to Internal Revenue Service agents. Now, that's referring to, I believe, the Fifth Amendment. Nor shall anyone be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So the Fifth Amendment is basically like you can't really incriminate yourself. So what they're talking about in this particular court case is everyone who files a W-9 or a 1040 or anything like that, or a W-2, I think it might be. I forget which one it is. I think it's a W-2 form. Wage and tax statement. It was a W-4 form. Let's see.
Hey, with Priceline VIP Family, you can unlock
anyways, all these forms, they're basically saying, you're giving them the information. You are not reserving your right to your Fifth Amendment to not prosecute yourself or incriminate yourself in any way. So you're waiving that right every single time you file tax documentation. So that's that one, right? In numerous cases, here's the next quote. In numerous cases where the IRS has sought enforcement of its summons pursuant to statute 26 USC 7402. If any person is summoned under the Internal Revenue laws to appear, to testify, or to produce books, papers, or other data, the District Court of the United States for the district in which such person resides or may be found shall have jurisdiction by appropriate process to compel such attendance, testimony, or production of books, papers, or other data. So it's saying if any person, which you've already gone over, that means everything under the sun, moon, and stars, is summoned under the Internal Revenue laws to appear, to testify, or to produce books. So that's what they're referring to. They're referring to enforcing the summons in this. So in numerous cases where the IRS has sought enforcement to its summons pursuant to statute, courts have held that a taxpayer may refuse production of personal books and records by assertion of his privilege against self-incrimination. That's Hill versus Philpott. That is the same thing. The guy, he's saying that people who have said the Fifth Amendment, then they get fucked, right? Here's another one. This is from Jack Cole Company versus McFarland. Since the right to receive income or earnings is a right belonging to every person, this right cannot be taxed as a privilege, right? And now that's referring specifically to someone who's not a U.S. citizen, who's someone who's just living on the land, that kind of thing, right? Obviously, if you're a U.S. citizen, this particular quote wouldn't apply. It would be a privilege because you're a vessel, you're a slave. Okay. All income tax money goes to the Federal Reserve and is payment on the interest on the loan for using Federal Reserve notes. All Federal Reserve notes are printed off and given to the Treasury with interest. So the loan gets bigger and bigger and never paid off. So most people listening to this video probably already knows that all of the money that's in circulation is all loaned to our government at interest, right? So there's not, even if we scraped up and paid all the money in the whole country back to the Federal Reserve, it still wouldn't be enough to pay off the loan. That's the whole point. The whole point is infinite debt in order to take over every aspect of the entire country. They do this to other countries too. It's not just America, right? None of the federal income tax money goes to unemployment. None of it goes to roads. None of it goes to bridges. None of it goes to food stamps or anything else that contribute to the people or the country. Not one single penny. It actually goes from the Federal Reserve to the International Monetary Fund. And then from the International Monetary Fund, it goes to the United Nations. The Internal Revenue Service is a private for-profit collections company. And this is actually a quote from Diversified Metal Products versus Tebow Company Trust. The IRS is not part of the United States government. So it isn't. It's actually a private for-profit collections company. And you can actually hire the IRS. I'm probably not going to go over this in this course. Christopher Hauser, in his video series, he teaches you how to do this. You can actually contract with the U.S. Treasury to collect debts for you, and then they will use the IRS to go and collect the debts for you for a commission on the debt. So let's say, for example, you owed me $50,000. I can actually write up a contract with the U.S. Treasury and then sick the IRS on you to collect my money. Now they're going to take like 35% of all the money they collect, but